Greetings, and welcome to our monthly editorial. Back again is myself, Russ Hatfield, sharing editorial creation duties with my twin soul, Kara, a higher dimensional member of Ashtar Command, an ambassador to Sirius, and a former current healer on the base. The editorial we have for you for July is called The Bank of Psychic Genes. Now, the reason we call it that is because we see more than one Facebook post or news article decrying the population decline taking place across this planet all the time. Coincidentally, July's channeling session has a section from Kara about how to save the human race from itself. It's nothing less than training up the psychic abilities of those with psychic gifts and establishing a way of expanding those gifts among the general public. For a full transcript of this latest editorial, please go to our main homepage at HadesBasedNews.com. We invite you to subscribe to be kept informed of future postings on our YouTube channel from the members of Ashtar Command. And now we present the Bank of Psychic Genes. This month's editorial is an extension of the portion of the channeling session for July where Kara gives me feedback on my idea back in the 90s when this was recorded about a psychic dating service. Our final solution would only be possible in an alternate universe, and that's exactly the theme of this editorial. What would happen if we lived in a world where the survival of the human race was its main priority? To preface what we discussed, we should note that much of the idea for the discussion came from the Galactic Milu book series from Julian May. In the series, it's the story of families with the genes for psychic abilities who merge them to create ever stronger offspring. As Kara puts it, the fate of humanity rests in its ability to evolve. That evolution includes increasing the natural psychic skills, suppressed purposely or by accident throughout the ages to maintain control over the populace of the planet. So we have to visit a world of our own making to explore a best-case scenario of the possible salvation of the human race. As Kara puts it, answering a question about consciousness, consciousness is good to be a race, but without psychic ability, you might as well not bother. So it turns out there's a global consortium of scientists that have been studying the critical level of planetary depopulation. One idea that at first seemed far-fetched turned out to be the best they had when they put it to multiple AI platforms. The conclusion they came to was to bring out the latent psychic skills they had observed in the many studies they had done to possibly discover the salvation of humanity. The most obvious threat to the plan working was the public fear of anything different, such as those with powers being superior to those who had none. The threat they found would be surprisingly easy to negate with a mere publicity campaign. Artificial intelligence had laid out a path that could be followed, with step one being influencing where they could any negative perception of those with psychic powers. Emphasizing their value began to make them something people wish they could have in their family. Step two was a psychic dating service in which those with powers or wishing to be with those who had powers could meet. It would take 5 years of manipulating public perception to where the legislation protecting such powers from harassment found acceptance throughout the world, which completed step 3. Those 5 years had borne fruit as the public began to see a collective consciousness shift towards a more peaceful unity. Finally, step 4 was ready to be enacted, in which schools were established to train psychic skills, all the way up to university level, where degrees in those skills could be attained. It began to be more acceptable if you had a family member with a psychic skill than having no psychic skills at all in the family. Step 5 was something that had been seen as the results of the first 4 steps going right, which was the blending of families seeking to increase those skills to more than one in a single person, or strengthen them by bringing two people with the same skill together. With all the steps fully accepted by the public, Step 5 was the establishment of the Psychic Skill Repository, where those wishing to help the human race could donate their genes so that the psychic skills could be utilized in families wanting to not miss out on such an opportunity. This was the result that 10 years of steady implementation of the 5 steps had brought a population across the planet increasing, yet doing so in a harmonious nature that had virtually eliminated war. It was easy to see why. What were people going to do with all those new skills? What they did was take roles in society that complemented whatever psychic skill they happened to have. This new generation was entering into a world where personal rights had become fewer in a civilization looking to save itself. The most notable example was telepathy becoming more common, as well as the ability to read auras. Those two alone almost forced a change in behavior throughout every society. That led to judges able to read the minds of defendants to determine the truth of their statements. Other skills were also in high demand, such as psychokinesis in fields of construction or needing to work on things from a distance. Healers becoming so proficient that they were able to replace some modern medical technology with such skills as psychic surgery. But the main skill that brought the most change was that of astral travel. Highly trained practitioners could verify almost anything trying to be kept hidden. Such a mental change of accepting the new reality was all that was needed to transform the world to what it had once been very long ago in the past. Problems that had plagued mankind for decades found answers from prioritizing the planet over profit. What was left was a unified society ready to meet their brothers and sisters from across the galaxy. In love, light, and wisdom as one, Rasankara.